So many people, myself included, have said, and Charlie Kirk said this himself, the NGOs need to get wrapped up. We need to see Antifa defeated. Obviously, there are active terror networks from the left inside the United States, well-funded and well-organized. They show up at these protests. They turn them into riots. They're designed to assault conservatives, to make them physically intimidated. That was clearly the attempt with the hit on Charlie Kirk, to drive conservatives underground. And the thing I'm very worried about, the thing that, well, like you said, I expect the Trump administration to take serious action, but the thing that concerns me for the health of the country is the reaction from the left, not just the radical left, but many mainstream leftist voices who have come out and not just attacked Charlie Kirk, not just said that they didn't like what he said or his character, these type of things. That would already be disgusting, but we would expect that. I am now seeing major leftist personalities declare themselves members of Antifa, say that they openly support the terror network, that this is okay, and they are not hesitating. Now, we just saw Jimmy Kimmel face some social censure for this. He lost his position at ABC News due to the fact that he lied about Charlie Kirk's murder and tried to cover for violent leftist terrorists, violating, I believe, some FCC regulations. But more importantly, I think the real pressure came from different advertisers and networks affiliates who recognized that they simply did not want this language on the books. They did not want to be promoting this kind of incendiary rhetoric inside the United States. Are you happy to see that step? And do you think there needs to be a wider campaign of pushing back against these leftist commentators who are clearly labeling people fascists, labeling themselves anti-fascists, feeding in to this militant terrorist organization and its mission in the United States?
Yeah, I think for us to get back to some norms which have been essentially washed away in this country, there are no norms, right? And just to be clear, on the other side of this isn't a political debate per se. These are revolutionaries. And on the other side, we have mainstream personalities in the media that are fomenting the types of activities that are going on here. I mean, the amount of times any of us, including myself, am called a Nazi or a white supremacist or whatever it is for some type of stance or view that I've taken because I'm a Catholic and I'm talking about my faith or whatever, which for some reason equates to being a Nazi. Yeah, I mean, we've got to continue to push back on this. And to those that say, look, they're censoring free speech and this and that, he has an employment contract, to be clear, okay? And there are, I'm sure, stipulations in that contract, just like any private employment, of how you're going to conduct yourself on your program. And if it doesn't align with that, that employer has that right to terminate that contract. We're not talking about somebody in the town square being prevented from voicing their crazy opinion about something. They have the right to be able to terminate. He can still talk about all this stuff if he wants to. He's just not going to do it on that program anymore. So don't forget, these are the same folks that were screaming to cancel Tucker on Fox News, which they were ultimately successful with, and now turning around and saying, oh, they're shutting down free speech in this country. No, an employer has decided that that doesn't align with their values and align with the type of program that they're trying to put out there. So I'm hoping that there's more of this. And I will say that the United States Senate now just, I think, about 15 minutes ago, voted unanimously to make, I think it's October 14th, but it's Charlie Kirk's birthday, a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk Day. Over here in the House, I don't think it's going to be like that. We're going to vote on a resolution here related to Charlie Kirk, and I'm not sure, you'll probably get a few Democrats vote for it. I'd say not the majority of them whatsoever. I happen to be on the House floor, sitting right next to Lauren Boebert when she was recognized by the Speaker of the House to state her point of order, and it was, could we have a prayer for Charlie Kirk? He has just been killed. And the Democrats went ballistic, just screamed us down, and we did not have a prayer on the House floor. That's their reaction within 45 minutes of him being declared deceased. That's their reaction. So unfortunately, I think that's where we are right now. And as a country, as folks here on the right, it is time to circle the wagons. We've got to stop the infighting. It's time to circle the wagons. It is time to put on the armor of God, to paraphrase Ephesians. And look, I'm praying for peace in this country through the victory of our faith. And that is what I'm hoping is going to happen here. But it is time to recognize this is a conflict right now in between the God-fearing and the godless.
Yeah, I think that plays itself out over and over again. You know, you're right to say that the left has canceled many a person. I mean, Roseanne Barr has made the point that Michelle Obama basically called Disney to get her thrown off, even though she had a highly rated TV show. It's the same network. It's ABC in both cases. Right. But when the left does it, it's fine. When the right does it, it's the end of free speech. Now, you pointed out there that the Democrats were unwilling to say a prayer over the family of Charlie Kirk in his name, in his honor, and that was one of the most despicable things I have ever seen. It really, it
was, I was shocked because I was literally right there, right next to Lauren Boebert when she asked. I couldn't, and you couldn't probably see it on the camera, but we're probably about, just a few feet from the Democrats because we're on the further side of the aisle, close to their side of the aisle, and they were just leaning over, just pointing their fingers in our faces, screaming.
It was truly insane. And it makes me think, for so long, many of us have looked at the Republican Party and said so much of it, large swaths of it are just part of the Democratic Party. It's a uniparty. They feel the same. They vote the same on so many issues. They pick one or two that they can argue for different constituencies or different lobbying organizations. But ultimately, they have such a similar agenda that they seem to be buddy-buddy after they get done with these existential debates. But I think we're seeing something very different now. I think we're seeing a new crop of Republicans who recognize that the battle for this country, that the time is drawing short, and we don't have time to sit here and pleasantly try to pretend that the left is ultimately working with us or trying to come together with us. We need to make the allies that we can, but ultimately there needs to be some hard-nosed politics here. There needs to be an understanding that victory and wielding power in a righteous way to restore order to the United States and protect citizens in the United States is critical. And we need to stop being, cringing about this. We need to stop whining about this, clutching our pearls about abstract principles that aren't even really our own. And instead, we need to do what's right for the American people. Do you feel like that uniparty moment is starting to break apart for American politics?
I do, particularly after that moment we just discussed right now on the House floor. And then if we come and we go do this resolution on the House floor here, I believe it's today or tomorrow, and what plays out is what I think is going to play out. I think it's going to become pretty clear to people. There's nobody on our side of the aisle, nobody in the House right now who is playing both sides of the fence on this issue. Not at all. And Charlie Kirk, in his martyrdom, has certainly actually been unifying, I would say, in that regard. It has woken people up, and you've seen it all over the country where people, and this is what Charlie did, right? He's trying to bring light to the darkness, and he's trying to speak truth and engage based on truth, based on our Constitution, based on our religious and biblical values, and not be afraid.